My hands were still shaking when I typed it. I was sitting in the parking lot of Riverside Memorial Cemetery, still in my black dress, still wearing the shoes that had been slowly destroying my feet for the last 4 hours. The engine was off. Outside, the November sky looked like a bruise, that deep, ugly purple gray that doesn't let any light through. I'd watched them lower my husband into the ground less than 20 minutes ago. Marcus, my Marcus, 39 years old, dead of a heart attack that nobody saw coming, including the cardiologist who'd cleared him for travel just 8 weeks before. I sat there in the dark of my car, and I looked down at my phone, and I opened the family group chat, the one called DeWitt Family with 43 members, and I typed 7 words: "Can anyone help me?" I watched the little check marks turn blue. 2 blue checks, red. Everyone read the message. Then I watched the screen. Nothing. Not a single bubble. Not a single response. 43 people. His mother, his brothers, his sisters, his cousins, his aunts. Every single one of them had read my message, and not one person replied. I sat there for so long that my phone screen went dark. I didn't move to wake it up. I just sat in the cold and the quiet, and I thought, something is wrong. Not the grief wrong I'd been feeling for 5 days since the hospital called. Something else, something beneath the grief, something that had been there this whole time, hidden under flowers and casseroles and people hugging me with one arm. I just didn't know what it was yet. Let me back up, because you need to understand who Marcus was, or who I thought he was, before any of the rest of this makes sense. I met Marcus DeWitt when I was 24 years old, waitressing at a steakhouse in Charlotte while trying to finish my nursing degree part-time. He came in with a group of colleagues, tipped me $40 on a $60 bill, and left his business card under the glass with a note that said, "You deserve better than this place." I thought it was the most arrogant thing I'd ever seen. I called him anyway. He was warm. Genuinely, disarmingly warm. The kind of man who remembered your coffee order after one visit, who held doors open without making it theatrical, who cried at his little cousin's elementary school graduation because, he said, every beginning deserves to be celebrated. I fell for him the way you fall in deep water. Fast, total, no graceful recovery. We got married 3 years later in a backyard ceremony at his mother Patricia's house in Greensboro. I wore my grandmother's earrings. He cried when he saw me walking toward him. His whole family was there, all of them beautiful and loud and overflowing with a kind of inherited ease I had never experienced in my own scattered, quiet family. I remember thinking, I am so lucky. I am joining something real. That was 11 years ago. For most of those 11 years, I poured myself into our life together. I finished my nursing degree, then my RN certification, and I worked overnight hospital shifts for 4 years so Marcus could keep his startup afloat after his first round of funding fell through. I didn't complain. I believed in him. I watched him rebuild from nothing twice, and both times I was the one working double shifts, covering our mortgage, making sure the lights stayed on. He always said I was his anchor. He said it at dinner parties, at family gatherings, in birthday cards that I still have in a shoebox in our closet. You are the reason I'm still standing. I believed that too. I believed everything. The night before the funeral, his family's night, I noticed the first thing that didn't quite fit. Marcus's older brother, Darnell, pulled me aside in the hallway of Patricia's house. He had this look on his face, this careful, constructed look, like someone who'd rehearsed what he was about to say. "You doing okay with everything?" he asked, and there was something about the pause before everything that snagged on me. "I'm managing," I said. He nodded slowly. "You know, whenever you're ready, we should sit down and talk about the house." I looked at him. "What about the house?" And then Patricia appeared at the end of the hallway like she had materialized from nowhere, and she said to Darnell, "Baby, come help me with the food." And just like that, the conversation was over. He followed his mother. He didn't look back at me. The house, our house, the one Marcus and I had lived in together for 7 years, the one I had made mortgage payments on for 4 of those years when his business wasn't turning profit. Why would Darnell bring up our house the night before the funeral? I filed it away. I had a eulogy to finish. The service itself was beautiful, if beautiful is even the right word for something that breaks you open in public. The church was full. Marcus had touched a lot of lives. People I'd never even met showed up. Colleagues and mentors, and a man who said Marcus had once anonymously paid his rent during a rough patch and didn't tell him until a year later. I sat in the front pew between Patricia and my own mother, who had driven up from Georgia and kept squeezing my hand. 3 things happened during that service that I didn't understand until much later. The first, Marcus's youngest sister, Tamara, kept glancing at me during the eulogy. Not the sympathetic glances you give a grieving widow, but something sharper, something almost assessing, like she was watching for a specific reaction. The second, when the pastor asked if anyone wanted to share a memory, a woman I didn't recognize stood up in the back of the church. She was maybe 35, natural hair, a simple gray dress. She said, "Marcus was the most generous man I ever knew," and then she sat down without giving her name. I looked at Patricia. Patricia's jaw was tight. She was staring straight ahead. The third, during the reception at the house afterward, I went to the study to get a moment alone, and I found Darnell and Tamara and their cousin Reginald standing very close together, speaking very quietly. When I opened the door, all 3 of them stopped. Not gradually, instantly, the way people stop when someone walks in on something they weren't supposed to hear. "Sorry," I said. "I was just—" No, Darnell said, already moving past me. "We were just leaving." They filed out. Reginald gave me a look I still don't know how to describe. Pity, maybe? Or something close to it. So there I was. Parking lot, 7 words, 43 blue check marks. I drove home alone. Our house, my house, I kept reminding myself, my name is on that deed, felt enormous in a way it never had before. Marcus wasn't a loud man, but his absence made a sound. I walked through the rooms in my black dress, and I kept expecting to hear him in the kitchen, the way he always made coffee at weird hours, the way the grinder would go off at 11 p.m. and I'd yell from the bedroom and he'd say, "Just 1 more cup, baby, I promise." I sat on the edge of our bed, and I opened the group chat again. Still nothing. I scrolled up. The last message before mine was from Tamara, posted the day of the funeral. Reminder, repast at Mama's house starting at 1. 40 responses. Heart emojis, we're on our way, be there soon, warmth and noise and family. Then my message, my 7 words. Silence. I put the phone face down on the nightstand. I told myself they were grieving. I told myself people process loss in different ways. I told myself there was a reasonable explanation. I almost convinced myself. The calls started 3 days later, or rather, the calls that weren't for me started 3 days later. My mother-in-law rang twice. Both times the call was short. She asked if I was eating, if I was sleeping. She did not ask how she could help. She did not offer to come over. There was a formality to her voice that I had never heard in 11 years of Sunday dinners and Christmas mornings, and her calling me sweetheart like it was my actual name. Darnell texted once, "Let me know when you're ready to talk logistics." Logistics. My husband was 8 days in the ground and his brother was texting me about logistics. I called him back. Voicemail. I texted Tamara, just, "Hey, are you free to talk?" She left it on red for 6 hours and then replied, "Crazy week, we'll call soon." She never called. Meanwhile, I started noticing things in our house that I couldn't explain. Marcus had a filing cabinet in the study, a tall gray one he kept locked. He'd always been organized, meticulous about paperwork, and I'd never thought twice about the lock. That was just Marcus. He liked things in order. The key wasn't on his keyring. I'd gotten his personal effects from the hospital in a small plastic bag. His watch, his wallet, his phone, his wedding ring, and his keys were there. Every key I recognized, but not the small brass one for the cabinet. I searched the house for 2 days. I found it taped to the bottom of his sock drawer, tucked inside a folded piece of paper. On the paper, in Marcus's handwriting, were 4 words: "Only if you must." I want to pause here and tell you about a memory, because it matters. 2 years into our marriage, Marcus and I went through a hard season. His first business had just folded. We were behind on the mortgage. I was working doubles and barely sleeping, and one night I came home at 7 a.m. after a 12-hour shift and found him sitting at the kitchen table with his head in his hands. I sat across from him. I didn't say anything. I just put my hand on the table between us, palm up, and waited. After a while, he took it. "You feel like I'm failing you," he said. "You're not," I said. "How do you know?" "Because you're still here trying." He looked at me then with this expression, this open, wrecked, grateful expression, and he said, "I don't deserve you, Renee. I genuinely don't deserve you." I thought that was love talking. I know now it was something else. The filing cabinet held 3 folders. The first was labeled Insurance and contained our life insurance policy, which I already knew about, $500,000, beneficiary listed as Renee DeWitt. Standard, expected. The second folder was labeled Property and contained our mortgage documents. But there was something paper-clipped to the back of the deed that made me sit down hard in the desk chair. An appraisal, current, dated 6 months before Marcus died. Someone had appraised our house 6 months before Marcus died, and the appraisal was addressed not to Marcus DeWitt, but to Marcus DeWitt and Patricia Ann DeWitt, his mother. Her name was on an appraisal of our home, and I had never been told. I had never been asked. My name, Renee DeWitt, co-borrower on the original mortgage, was nowhere on that document. I sat with that paper in my hands for a long time. Then I opened the third folder. It was thinner than the others. Inside was a single printed email, dated 4 months before Marcus died, from Marcus's personal email address to an account I didn't recognize. The subject line was "Revised Plan Attached." The body of the email read, "As we discussed, I've moved the remainder into the secondary account. R doesn't have access and won't think to look. This protects the family's interest going forward. I need everyone to hold until I can get the documents finalized. Please don't contact me at home. R." He called me R. "Please don't contact me at home." I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the study with those 3 documents spread out on the desk, and I went back through 11 years in my head, and everything, every memory, every gesture, every "you are my anchor," started to look different. I thought about the business losses, the ones I'd worked overtime to cover. Were they real? Were they what he told me they were? I thought about the joint account we shared, the one that was always fine, always balanced, and I thought about the money I hadn't seen, the accounts I didn't know to look for. I thought about the woman at the funeral in the gray dress, the most generous man I ever knew. And I thought about how Patricia's jaw had gone tight, how she'd stared straight ahead, how she clearly knew who that woman was. I thought about Darnell saying the house the night before the funeral. I thought about Reginald's look. And I thought about 43 people reading my message and choosing silence. They already knew. Every one of them already knew. Here's what grief does that nobody warns you about. It makes you doubt your own perception. For weeks, I moved through the house like I was underwater, second-guessing everything I found, everything I remembered. Maybe I was misreading the email. Maybe there was context I didn't have. Maybe R wasn't me. Maybe the appraisal was something innocent. I was so desperate to preserve the version of Marcus I loved that I kept finding reasons to dismiss the evidence sitting right in front of me. Then Patricia called. It was a Thursday afternoon, 23 days after the funeral. Her voice was warm again, the old warmth, Sunday dinner warmth, and she said, "Sweetheart, I've been thinking. You must be so overwhelmed in that house alone. Have you given any thought to what's next?" "What do you mean, what's next?" I said. "Well, it's a big house for one person," she said. "And with everything Marcus was managing financially, I just don't want you to be caught off guard by anything. Sometimes when people pass, there are complications." "What kind of complications?" A pause. Measured. "I think we should have a family meeting, soon, just to make sure everyone's protected." "Everyone. Not you. Everyone." "I'll be in touch," she said, and the warmth snapped off like a light. That night, I did something I should have done earlier. I called a lawyer. Her name was Sandra O'Coffer, a family and estate attorney, and she had the kind of steady, no-nonsense energy that I desperately needed. I sat across from her desk and I laid everything out. The appraisal, the email printout, the insurance policy, the mortgage documents, the story of the group chat, and I watched her face as she read. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Do you have access to your joint bank records going back 3 years?" I did. I pulled them up on my phone. She went through them line by line, and she showed me something I had been too close to see. Small, regular transfers, every month, from our joint account to an account I didn't recognize. Amounts between $800 and $1,200, consistent, patterned, quiet. Over 3 years, it added up to just over $40,000. $40,000 moved out of our shared account every month for 3 years. Where did it go? I asked, even though part of me already knew. "Based on what you've shown me," Sandra said carefully, "I think it went to what your husband referred to as the secondary account, and I think we need to find out whose name that account is in." It took her paralegal 4 days to track it. The account was in the name of the DeWitt Family Trust, a trust I had never been told existed, a trust that Marcus had been funding with money from our household for 3 years, and the trust's beneficiaries, listed in the documentation Sandra obtained, were Patricia DeWitt, Darnell DeWitt, Tamara DeWitt, and Reginald DeWitt, not Renee DeWitt. There was one more thing in that filing cabinet. I'd almost missed it. It was tucked into the back of the third folder, folded in half, a plain white envelope with my name written on the front. Not R, my full name, Renee. Inside was a letter, handwritten, dated 2 weeks before Marcus died. His handwriting, I would know it anywhere. "Renee, if you're reading this, then I ran out of time to fix it, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I have to tell you this in a letter instead of face-to-face, because I spent the last year trying to figure out how to say it out loud, and I never found the words. When the business went under the second time, not the first time, the second time, 4 years ago, I made a choice I've regretted every day since. I went to my mother for help. She gave it, but it wasn't a gift. It had conditions. She wanted a stake in the house. She wanted to be named in a trust funded by our income. She told me that if I didn't agree, she would tell you things about my past, things from before we met, that she believed would end our marriage. I chose wrong. I chose to protect the secret instead of you. I told myself I would fix it, that I'd buy out the family stake, that I'd dissolve the trust and you'd never have to know. I kept pushing it forward, 6 more months, 1 more year, and then my heart gave out, and now you know. They will try to take the house. They have the appraisal. Darnell has a lawyer on retainer. They believe they have a legal claim through the trust. They don't. Sandra O'Coffer on Elm Street, she handled our original deed. Call her first. The mortgage is in both our names, and my mother's name is not on it. The trust is challengeable. You have more ground to stand on than they want you to believe. I manipulated the situation by my silence. I told my family you knew about the trust and had agreed to it. That's why they're treating you the way they are. They think you turned on them. They don't know the truth. Please fight for the house. Please fight for yourself. You were always my anchor. I was never yours. I'm sorry it took me until now to say so. Marcus. I read that letter 4 times in a row without moving. Then I sat very still for about 5 minutes. Then I opened the family group chat. I had been quiet in it for weeks. I'd watched messages roll past, Patricia posting about thank you cards, Darnell sharing a photo of Marcus at some family event from years ago, Tamra organizing what they called a family check-in that I had not been invited to, and I had said nothing. I had been polite and small and invisible, the way grief and shame and confusion can make you. I was done with that. I typed slowly, carefully, because I wanted every word to land. Hi, everyone. I've been quiet because I've been trying to understand what happened to my husband and to my marriage. I think most of you know things I wasn't supposed to find out. I want you to know that I've found them anyway. I found the trust documents. I found the appraisal. I found the email Marcus sent about moving money so, and I'm quoting, R doesn't have access and won't think to look. I've also found something else, a letter Marcus wrote to me before he died. In it, he told me the truth. He told me about the pressure his mother put on him. He told me he lied to all of you and told you I knew about the trust. I didn't. I never knew. I am not your enemy. I never was. I was just a woman who loved her husband and worked overnight shifts so he could keep his dream alive, while he quietly funneled our money into an account for people who read my cry for help after his funeral and chose not to answer. I have retained Sandra O'Coffer. I will be contesting any claim against this property. I have the mortgage documents, the original deed, and the letter. But more than any of that, I want you to look at what we've become. Look at what happened in this chat. A woman at her husband's funeral asking for help and 43 people going silent. That's not a family. I don't know what it is, but I'm done trying to belong to it. I hit send. I watched the check marks go blue. The first response came 11 seconds later. It was from Tamara. Renee, that's not what... Then Patricia, sweetheart, you don't have the full picture. Then Darnell, we need to talk about this privately. Then, unexpectedly, from an aunt named Dolores, who I'd only met twice. Lord have mercy. Patricia, you need to tell this girl the truth, all of it. Then Reginald, who had never once messaged me directly. I'm sorry, Renee. I wanted to say something. I should have. The chat erupted. 43 people suddenly having opinions, suddenly finding their voice, sides forming in real time. It was chaos, and it was long overdue, and I watched it happen from my kitchen table with a cup of tea going cold in my hand, and I felt something shift inside me. Not peace exactly, not yet, but the beginning of it. The beginning of me again.
I still live in the house. Sandra was right. The mortgage was mine. The deed was mine. And Patricia's name being on an appraisal she commissioned without my knowledge didn't give her legal standing. The trust challenge took 8 months and cost me more in attorney fees than I like to think about. But I won. I did not forgive Marcus. I'm still working on what I feel about him, and I think I'll be working on it for the rest of my life. He was a man who loved me in the ways he was capable of, which turned out to be smaller ways than I knew. He was also a man who, at the very end, wrote me a letter and told me where to look. I'm trying to hold both of those things at the same time. His mother and I have not spoken since the day the court ruled. Darnell sends me a message every few months. Brief, awkward, never quite an apology. Always something adjacent to one. Tamara blocked me and unblocked me twice. Reginald came to my door one Saturday morning with a grocery store pie and said, "I should have answered you that day in the parking lot." And I said, "Yes, you should have." And I took the pie and I closed the door gently. Some nights I still sit in my car in the driveway and I think about that parking lot. November sky, black dress, shoes that wrecked my feet, my hands shaking over my phone. Can anyone help me? 7 words into the silence. The thing I know now that I didn't know then, I didn't need any of them to answer. I needed to find out that I could answer for myself. And when you're ready, standing in the rubble of everything you thought your life was, surrounded by people who chose silence when you needed a voice, that's exactly what you do. You answer yourself. And this time, you don't wait to be safe.